All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Hope you all are having a fantastic afternoon or more night at this point. All right. So, hello. So, if you look down in your bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that we have a little chat box. Please feel free to say hello or ask questions, as that is the main thrust of this endeavor. Is that you guys are? I'm here. I have some like quiz type questions for you, but the main hope is that you guys ask me questions and then I attempt to answer them for you. So whenever you guys are ready to get this party started. All right. Well, mm, okay. So I'm having trouble that absolutely no one has said anything in the chat. Um, Hello. All right. So on my screen, nothing. Oh, okay. Whew. What's up, Kylie? Hello, Grant. Okay. I'm guessing I'm getting stuff now. Hello. This is weird. Um, if you are not able to, hello, Emma. Yes, that would be unfortunate. Kaylee, that would be unfortunate. Okay. All right. Are people coming through now? That was terrifying. No one was. No one was coming through. What's up, Ryan? Okay. Cool. All right. So I guess we are rocking and rolling. Cool. We got people on. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope your night is going well and that you are well prepared and ready for tomorrow's quiz. I'm here to help with that. So, um, okay. So nice and easy. Basically, I am here to answer questions. The best way that this goes is if you ask me questions and I answer them. I have some quiz questions to ask you, but I do not have a limitless amount of them. So, so yeah. So here we go. Shanze, you got it. Hello, Miss Shanze. Can you go over the psychoanalytical approach? Of course I can. Okay. So remember, when we are looking at, yes, I can. Okay. So, um, Aline, when we are doing this, this is, let me just preface this. I am not here to go over like the question, can you go over everything that we've covered, or can you cover all of the psychological like things? I'm not going to do that. If you have specific questions about stuff, I will answer that. Overall, I'll probably end up answering all of those things if you just constantly ask questions or people ask questions and stuff, but I'm not going to just do like a whole blanket of everything, because you know we've got a lot of like specific questions. And so if you have a specific question, Aleem, you just let me know and I will try to tackle that. Hello, Wilson. Yo, Ali. All right, here we go. So, ooh, nice. We got a good crowd. Okay, so what's up, me here? Okay, so let's start with the psychoanalytical approach. So, things to remember: Sigmund Freud is your founder of the psychoanalytical approach. Things to note: childhood is the most important part of is the most important period of time to a psychoanalyst. Basically, they're gonna spend a lot of time digging around in your childhood, trying to figure out, you know, what happened in your childhood that now influences and impacts what's going on in your life now. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that later when we get to the personality section. We're going to talk about Freud's psychosexual stages and how sex like helps us develop. But for now, just recognize, hey, early childhood is a major part in someone's life, so much so that it heavily influences basically everything that goes on. So all of the problems that you are dealing with now, all the problems that Mr. Monk is dealing with, all the problems that your parents are dealing with, your grandparents are dealing with, all stem back to childhood. Now, the other big thing, big takeaway that you want to get from the psychoanalytical approach is this idea that you have the conscious mind and then the unconscious mind. So you have these two parts of yourself. The conscious mind, as we said, was the mask. This was the part. Dude, Caramano fan? Oh my gosh, who's Caramano fan? That's awesome. USA number one, baby. I am I am like the biggest Caramano fan. Well, I mean that'd be difficult. There's lots of people who are Caramano fans. So okay, so back to this. Caramano fan, who are you? I'm very happy that you're on here. Um, Caramano's the bomb. Okay, so um, so you have the conscious mind, the unconscious mind. Remember that the conscious mind is that mask. It is not who we really are. It is what society allows us to be. It is the part of us that we project out to other people, but it's not truly who we are. It's a fake. The real person is down here in the unconscious mind. Okay, and remember the unconscious mind is made up of three parts. Okay, first, it's this idea that is unseen. It is something that we do not have access to. That's why it's buried deep, and you see the imagery of the iceberg and all the unconscious mind being underneath that part. So it's unseen. It's inaccessible to us. It is primal. So all of those like major sexual urges, all of those urges of rage, like all this like I want this thing and I want it now. I don't care about what's going to happen in the future or the consequences of what I do. I just, instant gratification. Me. I want this. I want this. I want this. So those primal desires are buried deep. And then the final part is this idea that it is who we truly are. This is the true self. And so we're going to come back to the psychoanalytical approach quite a bit in this, in psychology, just because of the influence that Sigmund Freud has in the world, in especially the world of psychology. So be prepared to come back to this topic. So Shanze, if that is good, throw me a thumbs up so that I know I can keep going, or you are satisfied. If you have more questions, you can ask him. Okay, Liam. I will go over. I just did the psychoanalytical, but let me do the behavioral for you real quick. Okay, so behavioral school. Remember, the behavioral school of psychology came right after the structuralists, the functionalists, and the psychoanalysts. And so I'll answer that only. And so basically, what happens is you have the structuralists, the functionalists, and the psychoanalysts, and they're all talking about like the things that are going on in your head and how you're processing information and all these feelings and emotions. And behavioralists are like, man, we cannot scientifically like look into those things. And actually, what ends up happening to functionalism, you know how functionalism is all about like looking at your ancestry and how does adaptation influence the things that you do. Well, actually, after some time, functionalism actually turns into behavioralism as they start to realize that all of this stuff is just so difficult to measure. And then they're like, well, we have a part of ourselves that we can always measure, and that's behavior. And so behavior is all about finding ways to reinforce or to help people learn things, how to get people to stop doing things, how like the problems that we have don't stem from like, oh, these like um this like, what's my mind process? No, who cares about that? What we care about is the action. What we care about is the behavior. And if we solve and if we can get that person to stop doing that behavior, well, then they don't really have a problem. So you have someone that's majorly depressed, okay? And your psychoanalytical psychologist, what are they going to do? Where are they going to look? They're going to look at the past. They're going to look at the person's childhood. Does a behavioral psychologist care about that? No. So behavioral psychologists like, forget the past, forget the childhood. Hey, let's talk about what you're doing right now. Get up out of your bed. Start moving around. Start doing things. Get out in the sunshine. Like, if you're going to lay around, it's only going to make it worse. Let's start with the behaviors. And if you stop doing those behaviors, well, that's going to get results and you're going to start feeling better. And so let's focus on that thing. I don't care about your past. So that's a behavioral psychologist, and that's one way that you can majorly like differentiate between other things. Yes, I can go over the ethical guidelines. Okay, real quick, Gestalt psychology. So Gestalt psychology, I almost hate putting it in at the beginning, but it's part of this historical thing. Gestalt psychology really only gets used in perception later on in um, um, it only really blah 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 blah. So it is only like it started out as this thing where they're like, okay, well we're trying to understand the world, and the structuralism nonsense isn't working because the way that the brain works is the brain tries to take shortcuts. It wants to like grab information, but there's so much. Oh my gosh, do we have 50 people on here? Dude, guys, this is legit. Oh my gosh, I've never had 50 people. Oh, so many people. Okay, now we're down to 49. All right, good. Someone jumped off. 50 was too much. Okay, so, I'm all nervous now. Whew, let me take a swig of water. Mm. Okay, it's all dropping. That's good. All right, we're down to 47. These are realistic numbers. I can't keep up with 50. Okay, so no, stay down. It's coming back up. All right. Okay, so you have this idea that the world has so much information just being thrown at you all at the same time, and so the problem is that there's so much going on that trying to understand the world in bits and pieces of information is not what your brain is doing. Your brain is grabbing all of this stuff and puts it together to make sense of the world so that we can move through it. And we're going to talk later on when we get into perception, when we get into cognition. We're going to talk about all these shortcuts that your brain makes. So all you really need to know now, and for the quiz or the test, is that it's just kind of the definition or the concept of what Gestalt psychology is all about. You have a world, there's so many bits and pieces, and so the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's really all you need to know. We will go more in depth when we get into perception, but that's really the only chapter we ever talk about Gestalt psychology. So there you go. Okay, so you guys will have to forgive me. It is difficult for me to keep up with questions, so I have to like scroll back up to the top. So I got. I don't know who Cross is. Cross, is that Chris? I don't know. I have a Chris in my class. I don't know who a Cross is. So um, that's difficult. Okay. Chloe. Hello, Chloe Roberts. Can you further explain experimental procedures for ethical guidelines? Um, Chloe, I'm not 100% sure I understand your question. Can you further explain experimental procedures for ethical guidelines? Are you just talking about what people do, like how they go through the things? Like, are you asking like, okay, what are the actual steps of debriefing? What are the actual like steps for like what are the reference guides or the reference steps for allowing people to leave whenever they want, or for yeah, can you throw that question at me again? Because if what I said is what you're asking, you don't need to know that. You just need to know the different guidelines and how they might look in a scenario. Hit me. Throw another question. If that's not helping you, Chloe, send me another question. I'll find it and I'll get it. Okay. Aleem, I think I answered your question. Automobile, yes, Caramano fan. Okay. Can you go over the ethical guidelines? Which ones? So again, I'm not gonna just do like blanketed things. Which ethical guidelines are you confused by, or which ones do you want me to cover? I'm not gonna just like hit all 7 of them. So if you have a specific one that you want me to go over, I will go over it. So um, so and if you want to ask that again, I will come back to it. What is the difference between functionalism and evolutionary? Yeah, great question, Femi. Okay, so kind of one of the confusing things is functionalism happens early on, and it actually evolves into most of the people in functionalism actually become behavioralists. You don't really need to know that, but that's what ends up happening. And functionalism goes away, and then basically what ends up happening is later on, evolutionary psychologists are like, or like psychologists like, oh hey, like some of that stuff was legitimate. Let's go back and study that thing. So functionalism and evolutionary psychology are the same, are basically the same thing. Functionalism just came first, and evolutionary psychology comes in later. You're never going to get a question where it's just like, the birthing hips of, why is so and so attracted to women with wide hips? What psychologist is that? Is it functionalism or is it evolutionary? You'll never have a question like that. It'll always be one or the other. So evolutionary and functionalism, you can just kind of be like, oh, they're the same thing. Just, they won't ever be together. So um, there's no major difference between the two. So okay, cool. All right, so I think that's two birds, one stone. Hey, and also if I answer your question, yeah, give me like thumbs up or check marks or whatever, just so like when I come back down, I'm like, okay, I got it. Can you explain the physiological and the biopsychosocial? Okay, good. Yes, sir, I can. Okay, physiological. What it cares about is will research methods and statistics be on the quiz? Yes, Deanna. Okay. So um, okay, so physiological psychology, the main thing it cares about is what is going on in the brain. Your brain, 56? I have 56 people on. Oh my gosh. Whew. Okay, sorry, I can't look at that. I gotta like cross that out. Okay, so where am I? I can do this. Okay, so physiological is everything just talking about the brain and brain chemistry. What is your brain doing? How is it active or working? And how does that influence the things that you do? Oh, you're dealing with depression. Oh, well, guess what? There's not enough serotonin. Oh, you have Alzheimer's disease. Then there's not enough acetylcholine. Oh, you have schizophrenia. Like there's too much dopamine. Like there's just all this stuff is tied to what is going on in the brain. You've got a problem, you've got this, you've got that. It's because something's going on with the brain. Biopsychosocial is biology, so the brain, psychology, the mind, so what's going on with the mind, and then not evolutionary, social, biopsychosocial. So the last part is like, how does your society, how does culture, how do the people around you influence the things that you do and who you are as a human being? So there we go, biopsychosocial and physiological. Give me a thumbs up if that helps you. What is statistics? Statistics are basically a set of numbers that help explain something that is going on in the world. Descriptive statistics are statistics that help explain like numbers and what the numbers actually means, and inferential statistics are those numbers and how you apply them to the real world. So there you go. Emma, I think I answered this before, but I need to know specific which guidelines you want to know about. How's the evolutionary? Okay, so I answered that one. Okay. Aryan, you can say that you are confused about statistics, but don't say that you're dumb. Okay. Okay. Gestalt versus behavioral. Okay. Mihir, I think I've talked about each one of those. Can you just post that question again if you're still confused by it? Um, Yeah, me here. Ask that question again if you're confused by it. I'm going down as fast as you can. Okay. Ryan. What is humanistic generally about? Humanistic. What's the big point? The big point is that they want you to be the best person that you can be. So everything is tied to you trying to become that person. And so we do everything in our power to help you elevate yourself. It's using active listening techniques. So when you're talking to me, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, tell me more about that. Oh, Man, so just being really engaged in the conversation. Another thing that we call unconditional positive regard. We'll talk about more of this later. Unconditional positive regard, like it doesn't matter what you tell me, like I still got your back. It's like having a best friend. Humanistic psychology is having a really good best friend, because all they want for you is for you to be the best that you can be and for you to reach that potential. So 61, we just 61. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, all right. So that is humanistic. Give me a thumbs up if that's what you need. Um, okay. Oh, hello, Chris. All right, good. Will some of the Quizlet terms be on the quiz? Oh, okay. So, good question, Fatima. So the Quizlet stuff is like one of once again we talked about how this is a year-long course that I have one semester to teach. So I take so I look at all of the AP exams that have come before me. Like I get access to a lot of questions and stuff like that, and I pull like, okay, like I've seen these set of questions and I really have never seen this, and I've seen this but I haven't seen this. And so sometimes I have to like pick and choose stuff. And like if you go online and you look for vocab, like there's thousands, and each chapter, like because you have like 20 plus different writers who write textbooks for AP psychology, and in each book they'll have like 3 to 4 different vocabulary words that someone else doesn't have. And so I try to give you as much as I possibly can. However, the vocab is a good way for you to like pick up some other stuff along the way, because I can't give you everything in the semester that I have. So just keep that in mind. Like I'm not going to quiz you over those terms that we haven't had. But if you get the chance, and especially as we're getting towards the AP exam, it's if you've got the brain capacity to pick up a few extra words, it's not going to hurt you. So I'm just limit. I've got my hands tied when we're talking about having this this much time to get you prepared. So cool. All right, cool. What's up, Peyton? Thanks for coming, girl. All right. Okay, I'm trying to catch up, guys. I see some thumbs up, so that's good. Okay. Um, yeah, old students often pop in, so they're awesome. One of the ethical guidelines is called experimental procedures for animals. Yeah. So all that's saying is that, hey, when you are dealing with these animals, like you need to make sure that you actually like you're treating them properly. Like they're not in these awful cages that they're like super miserable in and stuff like that. Like they have to be um they have to be well taken care of. So experimental procedures, the humane considerations for the well-being of the animal should be incorporated into the design of procedures involving animals, while keeping in mind the primary goal of the experiment procedures and the acquisition of the sound rep, replicable data. So once again, you've got these rats and you're infecting them with these like really nasty diseases. Like you got to give them at least a semi comfortable like place to live and the right food, and then when it's over, like you got to kill them. You let them go. You put them out of their torment. So it's kind of, there's lots of layering, because you're like, well, wait a minute, hold on, we already talked about this and the care and housing of animals. But it's like, it's once again like, you just like when you're doing these procedures, when you're doing these experiments, you you keep it as humane as possible. Like you just, as little suffering as, I mean, you're actively doing this on purpose, you're actively hurting them, and so you try to keep it, I don't know, you try to be as nice as possible when you can. So that's what that's talking about. All right. So, okay, it talks about how the animals' well-being should be incorporated and how they are killed at the end. Yes. Yeah. Once again, Chloe, if you're infecting them with terrible diseases and stuff, and then they survive, sometimes they'll have like genetic mutations or stuff like that, and we can't put them back out in the wild so that they breed, and then they put that into the system, and then you have these mutant rats and stuff. And so any rats that like go through the process and go through the system, especially with like diseases and stuff like that, we just we have to let them go. So, yep. Okay. Yes. Are the research messes that we took notes on in class? Yes. All those things. Everything that we've done this week and last week are fair game. Can you explain standard deviation a little bit more? Yeah. Okay. So, simply put, standard deviance is kind of looking at your variance and putting some form to it. So, standard deviation is talking about how far away from the mean you actually are. And I'm going to pull up a graphic for you, because I can kind of talk till I'm blue in the face, but it really helps if you've got something that you're like looking at. Okay, so let me look at this. I'll pull up this. Do we have a, okay. So, all right. So let me flip this over to standard deviation. Okay. Is this good? Okay. So what we have here is a normal curve. Okay. And so what you're going to find with standard deviation, and we're going to talk about more of this next week when we look at intelligence and stuff. So standard deviation is how far, if you can see my clicker here, is how far away from the mean you are. Okay. So let's see this space right here. Okay, so between standard deviation of -1 and standard deviation of +1, you have 68% of your population, generally speaking, like on average, for a normal curve, because all of this space here is your all this space there is your I'm just lost my spot. Okay. All this space here is your population. Like all of the, like this bump here, these are all people. These are all people. Okay. And so a huge portion of your population is here. And so all this is showing us is that the farther it kind of like groups people together, and the farther away you go, the fewer and fewer there are of people. So, so if this is 68%, 34% live here. And then over here, you have like, I think it goes to like 97, I think, yeah. So it's like 97 point something. And so the other portion of that is 68 minus 97. What is that, 29 or whatever? So then you have like 14% that live in this space here. And this is just kind of separated out. And then over here, you have an even smaller percentage. And so standard deviation is just telling you, okay, how far from the mean have you gone? It's a way of kind of like tracking things. So next week, when we talk about intelligence, intelligence is differentiated by 15 points of standard deviation. So this right here, the 68% of people fall between 85 and 115 IQ score. So like, when you're taking the IQ test, and between 115 and 130 is between the 1 and 2 standard deviation. There's not a lot of people. And then when you get up here and you have the 130s to 145s, you have, like 1% of the population. And then when you get past the 145, you have a very, very small percent of the population, less than 0.00 something. And so it's just talking about, it's a way of looking and, quantifying, okay, where are your groups of people? Zane, if that makes sense, give me a thumbs up if that helps. How can we tell the difference between cognitive behavioral approaches and a problem? Oh, Adia, how can you not? Cognitive. What do we care about? Cognitive cares about what you're thinking, your mental processes and stuff like that. In behavioral, all I care about is what you are doing. So cognitive is all about what you're thinking, what you're interpreting, what you're processing, what you're mulling over. And behavioral is all about the stuff that you're doing, your behaviors. So big time. All right. Okay. So hey, real quick, I'm seeing like some comments in here that don't look like psychology to me. So, hey guys, I have a ton of stuff that I need to read. So, like Caramano, I need you to tone it down, and by tone it down, I just don't need you talking anymore. Um, there's no way that Caramano is actually on here. So, but hey, I need you like just stop talking unless you have actual questions. So, just keep this like psychology related because I've got a lot of stuff that I got to go through. Okay, so can you explain the P and R thing in statistics? Yes, Abby. So the P and R are basically like when we are just okay, good. I'm glad I got you me here. Okay, so the P and the R thing are just the statistical like numbers that you'll see. We'll never do um like having you look at those things. So what we're just looking at is the correlation and the oh my goodness, what's it called? Um, correlation and the significance. So all we'll be doing so that's all that is talking about. I'm never gonna like use the P or the R to show you those things. Just remember correlation is talking about how like when you're measuring two things, how much one influences the other. So if you're at a plus one, if you're the closer you get to plus one, the more correlated they are. The closer it is to minus one, the more they're opposite, and the more that when one goes up, the other goes down, and then the closer to zero you get, the more that they have no influence on each other. And then when we're talking about statistical significance, we're looking at that number 0.05 percent, and we're trying to see like, oh, there's a 0.05% change, or there's at least a 0.05% change. That means that there is something important here, and we need to like look in on what's going on. So if that helps you, Abby, just give me a thumbs up there. Listen, don't be man, Abby. You asking questions and I'm answering them, and then you all like now okay, now what would be more hipster if this was like tea but this is just water. So you leave my mason jar out of this. Okay. Mm. Easy peasy, Naomi. Randomization is just one way um of like taking information, like splitting up your groups. You're splitting up who's going to be in the experimental, like who's going to be experimental, who's going to be in the control, getting your population, and getting your sample size. And just remember, randomization is something that we do in research to help keep out um, uh, those variables, confounding variables. So, yep. Okay, yeah, Shanse. I can do biopsychosocial. I'm not sure what you're confused by. Like the just like so as biopsychosocial is one of the um newest parts of research, and basically um what is happening is that we have found that, oh, like evolutionary psychology is really great, but it doesn't explain everything. Behavioral psychology is great, but it doesn't explain everything. Cognitive psychology is great, but it doesn't explain everything. And so what it's doing is it's an eclectic viewpoint, and it's basically saying, okay, all of these things have major influence on who we are today. I think it's easy to say that your brain heavily influences who you are. Your mind, the things that you think about, heavily influence who you are, and society, the people that are around you, heavily influence the way who you are. And that's all biopsychosocial is talking about. Is it's just like, hey, we got to get these. Stop having all these like, oh, behavior is the only thing. Behavior is not the only thing. It's all this stuff. And so that's kind of, and what you'll find is most psychologists today are like in that kind of viewpoint where all of these things have a major impact on who you are today. So, okay, good. So give me a thumbs up if that helps. Can you explain the acquisition of animals? Yeah. Anna, all that's happening is that you have to, like, I can't go out and be like, I want to study what, some endangered species. What happens if I inject it with, this serum? Is that going to help human beings? Or, like, you can't just go out and grab whatever animals that you want. Like, you have to do this in the proper manner. Like, you can't just get whoever you want. You can't just do whatever you want with animals. You have to get animals that are you have to do everything legally. I'm using a bunch of words. Like acquisition, your obtaining of animals has to be legal. That's all it's saying. So there you go. Thumbs up if that helps. Can you further explain correlational and experimental research methods? Sure. Okay. So remember, correlational research methods, all we're doing is we have two items and we are attempting to understand what is the relationship between those two things. And so kind of, I was like looking, when we were looking at it the other day and we were talking about, well, hey, where often is this used? And it's often used with things that are really unethical. It's an opportunity for us to really understand, like serial killers. Well, we can't like really talk to serial killers, but what we can do is we can get all of their murders and we can get information about those murders, and then we can look at other factors that were going on and try to see, okay, well, we've got a serial killer here, and then let's look at their childhood. So what was that person's childhood, and that, the outcome, and what was the relationship there? And then we can start plugging different serial killers in and start plugging in their different childhoods, and we can start getting patterns of like, oh, like antisocial personality disorder. Antisocial personality disorder is one of the most dangerous of the psychological disorders, because people with antisocial personality disorder lack empathy. And so they don't care about the feelings of other people. It's like having a young kid who punches another kid. You're like, well, hey, like, don't you realize that hurt them? Well, no, they don't, because they haven't started to be able to process that information yet. And it's the same thing with these people with antisocial personality disorders. And so what we found is that people with antisocial personality disorders often have very specific things happen in their childhood, and there's like this kind of development. Oftentimes there's some sort of physical or sexual or emotional abuse. They often start their killing, or they start hurting small animals. They'll like torture them. They'll peel their skin off. They'll do all sorts of things. And so we see this like trends of stuff because we've looked at all of these serial killers and like, oh, okay, well, these guys became serial killers. Well, let's look at their childhood. What happened? Oh, they did this, this, and this. Oh, well, okay, there's some connection there. And that's something that we can now start to look at. And so we're looking at those two relationships. Okay. Experimental research methods. Hadia, there's a ton in experimental research methods. You're going to have to ask something specific, because I'm not going to go through all that again. So, the Fatima, the ones that we have talked about, the ones that were in those packets are fair game. B.F. Skinner, Ivan Pavlov, William James, Sigmund Freud. Yeah, those guys are fair game. I miss you. I miss you too. Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I'm falling so far behind. I'm trying to catch up, guys. Ooh, okay. All right, I've been talking for 40 minutes. Here we go. 20 questions on the quiz. Okay. Okay, statistical significance. Yeah, Jesse, I think I did explain that. Jesse, can you ask that question again if I didn't? Yeah, but hey, remember, we're here to ask psychology questions, not spout our feelings of emotional joy and pleasure of seeing each other again. Okay, so yeah, can you, Jesse, I know you've waited a long time. I think I did explain statistical significance. Can you give me like a thumbs up, or just ask that question again? I'll be looking for it. I'll skip down and see if I can find it. Okay, could you explain more on the hindsight bias? Of course, Chris, I can explain more on the hindsight bias. Hindsight bias, listen, You have a, so let's just go through the definition. You have an initial prediction. Later on, it's proven correct. And then that earlier prediction, you are now like, man, I was 100% sure about that thing. And so basically, what ends up happening is you make these predictions about things like, oh man, I'm going to totally bomb this quiz tomorrow. And then the next day you bomb the quiz and you're just like, oh, I told you so, I'm so dumb, like, man, I knew it all along, I'm terrible at psychology, I'll never pass. And so basically what ends up happening is those you start to feel like you're good at making those types of predictions. And we do this all the time. We make predictions about things all the time. It's not a bad thing. But what ends up happening is we only remember the times that we are right, and we always forget about the times that we are wrong. And so what ends up happening is you think that you're good at psychology, but you're not. And this is why we need research, is because we just suck at psychology. We get things wrong all the time. So that is hindsight bias. Give me a thumbs up if that helps. Okay, Jesse, we're good. All right, muy bien. Okay, moving down the line. All right, Fatima. Oh, Fatima, thank you. Fatima's answering questions. Oh boy, it's that time. All right, so this is the deal. If someone other than me answers questions or helps out by, like, doing, I don't know, helping out in some way, we get on the hype train. Hype train it up. Boom. I have so much work that I have to do. I can't always keep up with you guys. So give them. Malvi gets hype trains. So hype train. Whoop whoop. Thank you, Malvi, for helping out. All right, cool. So yeah. Kafaya knows what it's about. What's up, Rom? They just have a quiz tomorrow. Not too bad. Yeah. So if people do cool stuff and help out, and that helps me out, make sure to throw them some trains. Hype train from Malvi. Way to go, girl. All right. Or Fatima. No, this was at Fatima was helping. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Fatima. I'm sorry. Wait, who's all? I don't know. You guys are just helping each other out. I don't know. Who's helping who? Okay. Fatima, were you helping Malvi? I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Trains for all you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, Fatima. I appreciate your help. Okay. Uh Well, we have to do. Oh, come on, Abby. What formulas? Oh, no. If you will not need a calculator. Good question, Abby. You will not need a calculator for your quiz. Can you have more than one approach? It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, definitely have more than one approach to an answer. That's fine. If there are scenarios such as the rats being infected in both care and housing of animals and experimental procedures apply, do we put both on the FRQ? And what's the difference between these two guidelines? Sorry, don't worry. I'm going to keep it pretty cut and dry. Tomorrow should be pretty obvious. I'm not going to, my goal tomorrow is not to trick you or trip you up on these things. It's to, like, just, hey, get some practice in. This is specifically what I'm looking for. Um, so, um, just keep that in mind. Okay, Eugene. I don't believe that Mr. Caramano was actually on my stream for 1 second, because I have his phone number. And he definitely. Oh no, I don't have his phone number. Yeah, Eugene Caramano. That's. Anyways, okay. So, all right. Is it considered unethical if you reveal confidential details if some participants to other participants? Yes, it is. It is. All info is confidential. All info is confidential. So you cannot do that. Can you explain psychoanalytical and give me an example as well? Yeah, sure, Talia. Okay, so wait a minute, Talia. I explained that pretty in depth earlier in the stream. So I'm going to give you a quick one. Okay, so first you have a So first, remember you have the psychologist cares about your childhood. Your childhood is your most impactful and influential part of your life, and so everything that happens to you now, all of your troubles and issues stem back from your early childhood. And the second part is that you have your unconscious mind. The unconscious mind are those primal desires. It is something that is unseen and it is your true self. And these unconscious desires oftentimes like bleed out, and so psychological issues that you have stem from those unconscious desires, which in a sense were created during your childhood. So you're looking at all of those things. And so what you're going to find is you're going to find a psychologist. A person goes in to go see a psychologist and they're like, okay, I am dealing with um, I don't know, pick any, you can pick any sort of psychological disorder. I have I smoke too much. I don't like smoke. It's not good for my health and I can't stop. I'm addicted to it. And so Sigmund Freud would be like, okay, well, what happened during, tell me about your childhood. And Sigmund Freud would specifically be asking about their oral stage of psychosexual development. And we'll talk more about that because, they derive sexual pleasure from their mouth and, all that jazz. So they'd ask questions about their childhood, and the hope is that as they would ask questions, the psychologist would find ways to delve into that person's unconscious mind without them really realizing what's happening. And so that's what that looks like. Talia, if that helps, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Sarah, you only need to know the psychologists that were on the packets. Those are the ones that you need to know. Okay, yeah, sure. Operational definition. Okay, so Leanne, operational definition. What is happening is that when you are dealing with um, when you're dealing with a hypothesis, when you are creating experiments, you want other people to fall in behind and do the things that you do. And so when you are doing this, your language has to be very specific and very particular. You cannot just willy-nilly throw out words that, like, oh yeah, I know what it means to be fat, or I know what it means to be tall. No, you need to, or I know what it means to be quote unquote crazy, but no, you need to lay out exactly what you mean. Um, you know, 20 pounds over, is it BMI or whatever, body mass index, or like how much over, a BMI or whatever, or, above the average of the male average of 5'10". And so you just have to be very specific with your language, because what we want is we want you to find really cool information and find new things. And we want other people to be like, man, that's awesome. Let me do that study over here. And I can't do that if you're using language of like, oh yeah, we were like studying fat people and stuff. What does that mean? What is, fat for one person is totally different from fat from another. And so we just need to be very specific with our language. Okay. So give me a thumbs up if that helps. Okay. Okay. Field research. Yeah, field research is more talking about like if we go out to observe animals and stuff like that, we need to, not destroy the environment. So that's all field research is doing, is it's just talking, and that's like a really abbreviated section of it, and there's more into that or as a part of that, but it's really just like, hey, like, just pay attention to where you're going and like don't, destroy habitats or disrupt habitats. So that's what's going on there. Okay. What's up, Rakib? Okay. Was that a high or a buy? Okay. Oh, am I getting close to catching up? I'm not getting close. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Okay. What's the difference between biological and biopsychosocial? I think, Anna, I think I already answered that. Just remember that biopsychosocial is like all of those things, and biological or physiological is just that one thing, which is, the brain. What's the difference between psychoanalytical theory versus introspection? What's funny is that psychoanalytical perspective and free association and some of the techniques of psychoanalytical actually pull a lot from introspection, and we'll talk about like the issues of the psychoanalytical approach later on. But there's some similarities, but I'll be pretty specific with my language from introspection and psychoanalytical, and so you shouldn't. I you shouldn't get those confused unless you're just not like solid on them. But they're like for psychoanalytical, I'll be talking about like the unconscious mind. I'll be talking about childhood, and introspection. I'll more be just like, oh, your feelings, looking inside and bringing those back out. So that's more. They should be pretty tight for you. Okay. FRQ. So remember, the FRQ and the quiz are two separate grades. So the quiz is a daily grade, and the FRQ is another daily grade. Throw some trains. Yes, trains, 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 trains. Yep. Such is life. Such is life. Yeah, Hala. Wait, what do you mean go over like Hala, ask your question again. Do you want me to like go over like what you're supposed to do in an FRQ? Do you want me to go over like what we're talking about in the FRQ? I'm not going to tell you what the FRQ is. So what are you questioning? Just if I think I know answering your question, define define what you're talking about. Define the definition. So tomorrow you'll have one of the ethical guidelines that you'll need to define: experimental procedures, acquisition of animals. You'll have confidentiality or protection from harm, and you'll want to very briefly give me 1 to 3 sentences of what exactly that is. And then now you've got that definition down. Now you're going to apply it to whatever is happening in the scenario. And you're going to be like, okay, so protection from harm is like, you got to make sure that people aren't walking away scarred from this scenario, from whatever happened. That's really not how you want to answer that. But, dictionary definition. I don't care if you have the dictionary definition memorized and you copy paste that bad boy. That works for me. Okay. And then once you're done with that, then you're going to be like, okay, well, in this scenario, they did this thing, and that's a no-no. These people were screaming and crying and, had to go to the hospital afterwards. You can't do that. And so you're applying that term to whatever the scenario is. So I think that answers your question. Hala, let me know if that doesn't. Grant, I believe I explained operational definition. Can you just give me a thumbs up or ask the question again if I need to explain it again? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Moby. Yeah. Will we have to know examples of approaches like the Quizlet thing? Yes, Ikra, that's why I put them up there, is because that's the only type of questions you're going to get. So, hey, what's up, Indra? Welcome back. Woo, you're 2 years, or yeah, you weren't even last year, were you? Were you 2 years ago? I don't know. Where are the black sunglasses? Oh, come on now. I can't always have the black sunglasses. Okay. Okay. All right, trying to catch up. Okay, I think I'm pretty close. For the ethical guidelines, how do we know that the experiment can be replicated? Can you give an example? Fatima, you're kind of talking about two different things. Ethical guidelines. How do we know that this experiment can be replicated? What's up, Dasal? I'm not really sure what you're asking there. I'm not really sure what you're trying to get at. Can you ask that question again, Fatima? I mean, it'll be replicated if all the ethical guidelines are followed. Is that what I'm not sure what you're asking. Try it again. Okay, sorry. Can you explain experimental procedures again and care and housing in your hands? I don't get these ethical guidelines. Oh, sorry. What's not to get? The idea is that you just like, hey, you have to be nice to animals. Care and housing. People who are in charge of these animals have to know what they're doing. They have to be like they have to know how to take care of them. You can't have uh, um, like a desert animal, like a lizard in a cold environment. Like you have to. you have to be kind to them. You have to give them environments that they are used to. So you know, so don't put them in really bad environments. So that's care and housing. So that's just taking care. By the way, I'm going to start posting some questions, and then just in the comments, just answer them, just so we can kind of try to tackle two birds, one stone. Most of them are pretty cut and pretty simple, so I don't think I'll need to explain them. Um, okay, so okay, and then so that's care and housing. And then for experimental procedures, once again, we're just like um, so the humane consideration of the for the well-being of the animal should be incorporated into the design and conduct of all procedures. So, like, it's just what's the yes, I have to inject you with this terrible illness, but can I do this in a way that it's the least amount of pain and suffering? Like, I'm not going to, jab it into you or whatever. I'm gonna, maybe push you to sleep and then insert it. It's like, once again, you're doing all of these awful things to these animals. And so we're trying to make it as, not terrible as possible. And so that's the idea of the experimental procedures and then the care and housing. Once again, it's just like try to take care of these things. Like, it sucks enough to be be born into as an experimental lab rat. It's terrible. Okay. Give me, throw another question at me again, Sarah, if this is something that's still confusing you. Uh, okay. Oh, yeah. Christine. Woo! Christine with the hype train. She's posting more Quizlets. Oh, yeah. Hype train. Hype train. Good stuff. Thank you, Christine. Good stuff. Oh, this is a Quizlet from the class. Hey! Hype train for Mr. Monk. Hype train at Mr. Monk for all these really great well, not really great, but these things. Hype train. I'm gonna give myself some hype trains. Look at me. Look at me. Put on a bus and a van too. Why not? Yes. This is the Quizlet from class. Good stuff. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Can you give examples of the quest you should look for to know what schools? Like, for example, look for bettering yourself humanistic. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's go through these really quick. So buzzwords. You're looking for buzzwords, Abby. Good question. Okay, so humanistic, self-actualization, or becoming the best that you can be. Okay. Actually, let's start from the beginning. This will help me. Structuralism. You are looking for introspection. Introspection is your big buzzword for structuralism. Functionalism. You are looking for adaptation. You will look for now. This doesn't mean that they're all going to be on there, but you're looking for adaptation. Maybe Charles Darwin, William James. Those are names there. Psychoanalytical, unconscious mind, childhood, behavioral, learning, reinforcement, behavior, punishment. When you're talking about humanistic, as I said before, you're looking for becoming the best that you can be, self-actualization. When you are talking about Gestalt psychology, you're looking for the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Evolutionary psychology is dating back to exactly what you'd see in functionalism, where it's talking about adaptation and the person changing to adapt and survive. What am I missing? Cognitive is all about thought processes and thinking. Physiological is all about the brain and its chemical processes. And then biopsychosocial is like the combination of those things. Okay. Do we have to know statistical curves? No, Christine, because we're going to talk about statistical curves next week. So sometimes I fit it in, but I'm not for the quiz tomorrow. No, for the test next week, yes, but we'll talk about it next week. So we'll get to statistical curves. Give me a thumbs up, Abby, if that helps. Can you explain the personnel guideline for animals? I don't. The personnel guidelines? Yeah, I think I've already explained that. Yeah, psychologists should ensure that personnel involved in the research with animals be familiar with these guidelines. So basically, if you want to work with animals, if you want to work in this research, all this is saying is that you have to know these guidelines, you have to know these rules. That's it. That's all it's asking. So, you know, you put these in here, and some of them are just like, oh, well, duh. So, yeah. So that's what it is. Okay. That's all they're saying there. Okay. No. Once again, yeah, the graphs we won't worry about that, Christine. Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, you might see a graph, but it's. I mean, it'll be like in your face. You'll know exactly what it's. It's not a big deal. Can you explain the main difference between structuralism and introspection? There is no difference, Sadia. Remember that introspection is the vehicle for structuralism. It's what it's how they studied breaking down the mind. So they're basically one and the same. They go together. So not one and the same, but one fuels the other. Do we need to know all the parts of the experiment? Yes. 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 You need to know all the parts of the experiment. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know your ludicrous name, Dylan. But I'm happy that you're on. Oh, Emma. Emma, are you Emma's helping. Hey, did people throw Emma some trains at Emma for she was helping out. I mean, I ended up answering the question later because, I can't see all these things, but good job, Emma. Let me throw you I'm throwing you some trains. I know these are coming in late, but hype train. Bam. Thank you, Emma. Good job. All right. Oh my gosh, I think I did it. There isn't a Quizlet on Schoology with the examples to study from. No, there is. There is. It's on there, Ikra. It's well. No, you're right. I'm sorry. It's not on there. It's if you just go to Mr. Monk A, or if you go to like Mr. Monk AHS or whatever it is on my Quizlet. It's one of my other Quizlet. It's one of my other Quizlet things. It's one of my other I didn't post that. I should have done that. That's my bad, Ikra. Hey, Ikra, can you go look for it? And if you can't find it, can you let me know? It's just like psychological approaches or whatever. So you should be able to find it. It should be right there. So yeah, cognitive is like your brain processes and stuff. Yep, cognitive is correct. Cognitive is the correct answer to my question. Yeah, it's the one it is the one I created most recently. Okay. What's up, Vincent? Yeah, I mean, today they basically just did like a little worksheet that was talking about like the major parts of statistics. So it was going over mean, median, mode, range, variance. It was like we spent 15 minutes on it. It wasn't like a big miss. I'll give you the sheet tomorrow. So, and I think I've already covered basically everything that we talked about. You already know mean, median, mode. And then I've already talked about statistical significance, correlation, and standard deviation. So those are the other big ones. Thanks, Kafaya. uh, we got you your trains, Emma. I'm just late to the train game because I can't. I'm always so behind. So yeah, the answer to the question is cognitive. Yes. Thank you, Abby. A train is never late. It always arrives precisely when it needs to, just like wizards. All right, so here we go. Let's get another question out here. Fun. Give a few examples of operational definition. Sure. We did like a. Let me pull up. Uh, Zaina, let me do this instead of me just pulling stuff out of my hat. Let me. My regular class got one of these. Let me see if I can find it on this computer. Oh, perfect. Okay. Let's do this. Here, we'll give you some. I'll give you some practice actually on this, Sana. Yep, good. Wilhelm Wundt, good. Psychoanalysis versus developmental. No, Abby. Abby, there's a link. We have a link now. Follow the link. Someone posted a link. It's above. Christine posted a link. Oh, Chloe, you're a gem. Thanks, girl. That is awesome. It is definitely Wilhelm Wundt. Dylan, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, here we go. So here we go. All right, so people who make over $100,000 a year tend to be snobs. So can you guys operationally define snobs for me? Wilhelmina Wundt, maybe in another universe. Okay. Oh, also, hey, this is not a terrible time to don't forget to turn in your second summaries. So second summaries are still open to be turned in before the end of the night. So you still got a few hours, but don't stay up late. Don't stay up late. Okay. Yeah, you got to be more specific than that, Dylan. I need you to be more specific. Yeah. Higher how, Abby? Still need to be more specific. People who tend to be more confident about themselves because of something they were able to achieve. Yeah, still a little vague. Um, yeah, Moha, keep going though. What do you mean brag? And what do you mean constantly? Yeah, it's guys gotta be really specific. How little money donated as compared to how much money spent on personal items. Yeah, there we go. Shanzay, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Look at Shanzay's example. That's really good. People who make over 100,000 a year tend to talk about themselves more often a day. Yeah. Okay, that's Kaylee. That's going in the right direction. That's good. Someone who believes they are better than everyone else and is condescending to others. Yes, Emma, that's the right direction. But once again, like, how do you like scientifically study that thing? Like, where's your time? Where's your how many? Like, it's got to be like, I want to be able to measure this. Um, still not specific enough, Abby. Okay, let me give you another. Let's do another one. You guys are all kind of like on the right track. You're not like all wrong or anything, but it's just like you can go deeper with this. Like you can be more specific. Oh, here, I love this one. I love this one. Here we go. Let's try this. Yeah. Yeah. Always need to make it quantifiable. Yes. Oh no, I got you, Emma. I got you. Yeah. How many rude comments made in a 60-minute span? Yeah. Yeah. That like that is what I'm talking about, quantifiable. It might not be as accurate, like, like, oh, is that really what a snob is? But at the same time, it's so specific, and that's what we want. We want it to be as specific as possible. Yeah, that's better, Dylan. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So once again, Ryan, what is promoting school spirit? You got like you're within a 7-hour school day is great, but what is what is school spirit like, and what does that look like? So you got to go back and you got to like really dig down. People who express their superiority assert their dominance as a result of their success economically. Yes, Vincent, but once again, like, where's your time frame and how are they specifically doing that? Like, how are you actually measuring it? You gotta be super specific. The number of people who attend football games is the lowest recorded. Yes, yeah. Like this year. Good, Dylan. How many students attend varsity sports in 1 week? Yes, Chloe. That's what we're looking for. How many people go to sports games? Yeah, just get, and then throw in a time frame. Decrease in participating in school events. Yeah, I'm on, but let's also throw in like a time frame there as well. Yeah, good. Okay. How much money spent on high school activities and how active people participate in school spirit days? Yes. Yeah. In a certain amount of time frame. Okay. So is this helping you guys? Like, does this make sense? Does this? No. How much money spent on high schools? Oh, yeah. You're opposite. Yeah. No. But you could say the same thing. Like, and you could see that. Oh, there aren't a lot of people that are very active, Shanze. So that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. How many people are wearing school colors in a day of school? Yep, that's perfect. Okay. So this is all good. You guys like this you're going in the right direction. This is good. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So I have some more questions. Let's throw out some more questions. All right. And then I'm probably gonna call it quits here in a little bit. Um as you can see, I'm already kicking back. Yeah. Teddy's napping though, so I'll have Teddy pop up here in a second. But let's get through these questions and then we'll say hello to Teddy and then we'll duck out of here. Oh yeah, great, Abby. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oh, you are awake. What are you doing awake? Boop doog. Good. Structuralism. Okay, next one. Yep, structuralism is what I'm looking for. Excellent. Next one. Yeah, there's a dog down here, Abby. Teddy always makes his presence known at some point. But we ran a bunch today when we got home, so he's a little tired. You played lots of fetch. Yeah. I guess I started talking about him, so I should probably. All right. Come on. You want to hop up? Come on. Hello. Oh yeah. You just woke up. Come on. We're waiting on you. Yeah. So this is Teddy. Also notice that. Yes, thank you, Teddy. I appreciate that. Ooh, the screen looks really bad. Or the dog. Yep. Psychoanalytical is what we're looking for, guys. A spot on his chest is his weakness. Hey, bud. Yep, dogs are pretty great. All right, so let's see. I have a few more questions. Yep, looking for psychoanalytical here. Listen, I'll pet you with one hand. Thank you very much. You can just relax. Okay. Next question. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Why isn't it behavioral? Because look at what the psychologist is doing. Or not the psychologist. Shari believes that her brother's issues with their family primarily stem from unconscious conflict. Unconscious buzzword between the two that stems back to their childhood. Oh, I couldn't give you enough buzzwords. I threw them all at you. This is definitely psychoanalysis. Yeah, definitely psychoanalysis. Yeah, I know. I know. He's staying up here a little while. He usually gets tired and goes somewhere else. Hey, buddy. Thank you. No, make yourself at home. Yep. Physiological is correct. Physiological is correct. Let's see. Yes, thank you. All right, next one. Next question. Hey, good, Emma. Thank you. Ooh, yeah, Emma's answering questions. That's what it's all about. Throw some trains your way. Hype train? Hype train! Yeah, quiz is multiple choice. Hadia, you've been paying attention in lectures. You've been on the stream. Just look over your notes. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. So, you done good. You done good. Biopsychosocial. Huzzah! Hey, bud. You're cuddly. All right. Yeah. I know. I know. Got him. Okay. This one's a little long. The review. It's Dylan. You gotta look on Schoology, baby. It's all there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Teddy's pretty cool. I'll keep him around. James, man. Oh yeah, William James. William James is who I'm looking for. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us. We are tired, and we are ready to go to bed. So we are going to go do that thing. So, all right. So for you guys, go to bed. Okay. Do not stay up super late. If you have been here on the stream, if you've been answering these questions, go to bed. So one of the best things that you can do, memory wise, is to sleep well the night before any type of examination, because what your brain does while you are sleeping is it takes all of those memories throughout the day and it starts to store them away. And so the better sleep that you get, the better you will be tomorrow. No, sleep is not for the weak. Sleep is for the smart. So okay, so thank you very much, guys, for hopping on the stream. I really appreciate it. I hope it was helpful to you. We will be doing this every week. I'll be on next Thursday, right before your first exam. So you won't sleep when you're dead, Dylan. You'll be dead. You won't be sleeping at all. So, but I understand what you're trying to say. So, but otherwise, guys, please make sure that also tomorrow morning, get a good breakfast. Make sure if you don't normally eat something small. You're welcome, Emma. I'm glad to be of service. Yeah, Teddy, I know. Thank you, Kafaya. Thank you. All right. Is there a curve? No. Curves are for the weak. Curves are for the weak, right? Teddy's not weak, right? Okay. I can't get him to decide he's tired. All right. Dylan, don't call me that. You are a student of mine, and I am your teacher. So we will go with Mr. Monk. Thank you very much. So for the summary, do you want us to write down what we learned on the worksheet? Yes, Shanze. Yeah, you'd write down what you learned on the worksheet. So, yep. Okay. All right. Hasta la pasta, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on. And from Teddy and myself, y'all have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. All right. Have a good one.